So here is just to kind of go over some of what's been going on over the last 3 weeks. So, yeah, Arkansas made the New York Times. We have this story here. Arkansas warns school districts not to offer AP African American Studies course by Dana Goldstein. What's new in the latest conflict between College Board and conservative policymakers? The Arkansas Department of Education warned schools on Monday, the first day of classes in many districts, not to offer advanced placement African American studies. Then we have USA Today. Arkansas schools will teach AP African American Studies despite states' objections. Okay, AP African American Studies will be taught, after all, at 6 schools in Arkansas that plan to offer it until state officials said last week students taking the course wouldn't earn high school credit for it and raised concerns about whether it's a form of indoctrination. Okay, CNN, Arkansas education officials say AP African American Studies program won't count toward graduation. There we go. So those are the stakes. Then we can go to the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. This was back on the 24th of August, and they had this panic meeting, the Democrat Black Caucus. I'm sorry, is it just the Black Caucus? Okay, whatever. They're Democrats. Arkansas officials, lawmakers meet over African American Studies course. Sanders, Olivia, legislators meet. Okay, and so you kind of get the gist here. State Senator Reginald Murdoch said those present at the hour-and-a-half-long meeting were able to talk about their concerns over the course and communicating it. He said, we feel much better after the meeting that we've accomplished something in terms of communication and better understanding to one another. After the hearing, Alexa Henning, spokeswoman for Sanders' office, said in an emailed statement that Governor Sanders was happy to meet with Democratic representatives and members of the Black Caucus to discuss the importance of education in Arkansas and the process by which AP courses meet the standards in the state. We have a new law in the books, folks. She looks forward to continuing to work with them and all teachers and schools to ensure Arkansas law is being followed. All right, so, critical race theory, what does that have to do with African American studies? Because, you've got Democrat lawmakers in this article here who are saying things like, African American history is American history. Nobody is saying that it's not. Nobody is saying that it's not. But when you have all this CRT nonsense baked in, when you have to get your students to admit the biases they have, the racial biases they have, the promotion of white guilt. This is not just happening in African American studies classes. I know a certain freshman at the University of Arkansas who, I guess they have these things for freshmen at colleges now. These classes they have to take. It's just a money scheme, and now it's obviously turned into a indoctrination scheme. But it's like a course trying to teach kids how to be on their own at college or something like that. It's just like a nanny state babying these programs. I can't remember what they're called, but it's just like, I don't know, campus life class or something. I don't know. Well, of course, they're offering right here in Arkansas. They're offering the privilege walk, the thing that they did down at that special math and science high school in Hot Springs. I covered that years ago, and we exposed it all. And there were hearings down in Little Rock trying to stop this indoctrination from high school. So the privilege walk, where you have to take a step forward if you've got a mom and dad. You got to take a step forward if you're white. You got to take a step forward if you're male. You got to take a step forward if you're a Christian. And then by the end, people are taking a step back if they don't have two parents. People are taking a step back if they're black or if they're from some other minority. Are you gay? Are you trans? You take another step back. And then at the end of it, you've got the white male Christians who are at the front of the line, and they turn around and they look, and there's these giant gaps between them and their and their peer groups. This is going on, I can confirm to you right now, at the University of Arkansas. Right now, it's going on, and it's probably going on at the other universities here in the state. And so that's the kind of stuff that's baked into classes like African American Studies, AP, African American Studies. And it's not that African American history isn't American history. It very much is. But when you bake in all of it, when you're not just learning about history and instead you're trying to apply it to the students and indoctrinate the students and to get them to admit some sort of white guilt, some sort of grievance, some sort of I owe you something because of the history. Because, surprise, surprise, history is full of people who make really, really bad, sinful choices and also make good choices sometimes that contribute to the betterment of our lives moving forward. And we actually are standing on the shoulders of those men and women. Don't want to leave anybody out here. We're actually standing on the shoulders of that whole system. But instead, we have a situation now culturally where it was just we want to edit history. We want to reshape it, reform it. We want to tear down Civil War statues. Like that's going to end our arguments. Like we're never going to have any more disagreements now. We got this generation coming up, and there's a lot of them. I forget how old I am. I've been doing this too long, so I'm stuck in like 2009. I don't know if anybody else is like that. But we got this generation of people now that like they feel they can recognize an injustice in the past, right? But they don't know how to reconcile it for today. So the only thing they know to do is try to destroy the past and tear down Civil War statues. And now they want to tear down statues of founding fathers and Thomas Jefferson and everything else, right? And they don't know how, they don't understand that actually the gospel of Jesus Christ is how you reconcile all of this. This idea of how people do really bad things and also good things, but they don't know how to reconcile that because we've pushed Christianity out of public life. And actually every institution, for the most part, certainly nationally, has got an anti-Christian bias to it. But so they can recognize an injustice, but they don't know how to reconcile it. So the only thing they want to do is destroy the past, which is very dangerous. And it means that we're really, honestly, it's more probable that we're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past because we're destroying things. But it isn't going to solve anything. It doesn't solve anything. I remember when Antifa, I remember Occupy Wall Street and their grievances. But I remember Antifa tearing down some of these Civil War statues. And it's like this pagan exercise, this pagan ritual where they tear down a Civil War statue and then they start kicking it. I saw one guy almost break his foot several years ago, kicking a Civil War statue, just taking out all of their anger and all of their frustration over these perceived injustices. Just full of anger, just full of rage. It's unbelievable. And what have they done? Well, they've packaged it and they use educational language. They use they hide behind affluence and they hide behind their status and they repackage this and also hide behind some sort of fake altruism when they're teaching this now to our kids and it's in our schools. And along comes Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was elected by the people of Arkansas. And she says, no more indoctrination, no more CRT things in our schools. And it's not that African American studies is bad in and of itself, but your course is only as good as your curriculum. Your course is only as good as your curriculum. And so the curriculum is really, really packed with all of this indoctrination and critical race theory that's just basically Marxism repackaged. And she says no. And you know what? A vast majority of Arkansans agree with her. And yet these cities in Little Rock, Jonesboro, these school districts in Little Rock, Jonesboro, and a few others are saying, you know what, we're going to offer it anyway. We'll pay for the exams, and I don't care if you're not getting to college. I don't care if we're not going to give a high school credit to this. We're going to do it anyway. Why? Why? Because they don't care what the new law says. They don't care what the government says. If Sarah Huckabee Sanders were to come out tomorrow and buy into all the hysteria and tell everybody to wear masks, I bet they would do it then. I bet they would obey then. Matter of fact, I think we're probably end up going to have a problem with masking. Inevitably here, there's going to be some superintendent that's going to try to mask our kids and put these face diapers back on them, these bacteria collectors, for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You mark my words, it's going to happen again. As these cases, progress, if you will. And so we'll see what happens. But, there's a huge contrast here and a lot of hypocrisy on display. African American studies indoctrinating our children. We saw okay, so here's the other thing. The story that we covered a couple of weeks ago, I guess this would have been earlier in the summer when Boys State was kicking off, and we had the guy from UAMS there who was essentially totally indoctrinating those kids. And we had the video footage of it, and it outraged people. I mean, I got a lot of feedback on that, by the way, of people who were saying, man, I cannot believe that this is going on. Yeah, it's going on, and it's been going on for a very long time, and we're pushing back against this.